I think we can say that the Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef has concluded. After many diss tracks and them going back and forth, it is done. And in this video, I'm going to be going back in retrospect to every diss track made in this saga, including J. Cole's diss track and like that, and putting them all in a tier list, from S tier being the best and D tier being the worst. What I'm going to be judging them off is the insults and the allegations thrown out in the diss tracks and how they have aged, and also generally the sound quality of the song. Although that is not as important, it is still very important. But the main thing is gonna be the disses themselves, okay? How good it was as a diss track. So let's get into it in a chronological timeline. First off, we have Like That from Metro Boomin and Future's We Don't Trust You. This started it all, with a guest verse from Kendrick Lamar going into Drake and J. Cole. Now, it wasn't anything too serious. He just kind of said, fuck the big three, it's just big me. Bum. But that has come to be one of the most impactful lines in hip-hop history because it spawned something incredible. Just because this started it all, it has to be included. Kendrick didn't really throw out any disses. He just kind of said, I woke up one day and decided, okay, I'm going to diss all of you. And as a song, it's pretty good. It's one of my favorites of the album. Probably I would say my favorite of the album. Kendrick comes in with this angry delivery. He just sounds pissed off. He woke up and chose violence, which is what he says on his verse. I think I'm gonna put it in B tier or A tier. I'm gonna, it's kind of tough. Let's say A tier, okay? Because of what it did, because of what it started, it's gonna go in A tier. It's between B tier and A tier, but I'm gonna put it in A tier. Let's move on to what happened after. J. Cole dropped the whole project called Might Delete Later, and it had 7-minute drill on it. Now, throughout the whole project, he was throwing shots at Kendrick because Kendrick did diss him as well, but this was a full-on Kendrick Lamar diss track, and yeah, it was not very good. I made a whole video on it. It was not very good. Why? Because I feel like he just praised him more than dissed him. It doesn't make any sense. And what makes it even worse is he apologized about it after. Yes, he apologized about it. He said that his first album was a classic and then the second album put people to sleep, which is To Pimp a Butterfly. So I think that should tell you how good this diss track was. I think that's gonna go in D tier. I don't think any other place is acceptable. And then Drake fired back with push-ups. This was kind of leaked online. I think Drake dropped it on purpose, like he leaked it himself and just tried to play it off as a leak to see what people think. Because people are actually assuming that this was AI because the mix was weird and his voice sounded kind of weird. But I think he put it out there to see what people think, and people liked it, so he put it out as an official track. And look, as far as diss tracks go, I mean, it's pretty damn good. It was just some light jabs talking about Kendrick's contract, how he had to give up 50%, which is the whole chorus of the song, drop and give me 50. Saying it's basically a 20v1 because of how many people were jumping on him at this time. Even Rick Ross made a diss track. I think his delivery, his flows, the way he comes in on here is pretty good too. He does make fun of Kendrick for having size 7 feet. A little weird, but okay, it's goofy. I get that this is not too serious of a diss track, and it was pretty funny, to be honest, which this beef doesn't really develop to be that funny, but at this point it was funny. I would put it somewhat high up. It's between B tier and A tier. Again, I don't know if it's as good as Like That, because Like That just had so much impact. This is just a decent diss track. I'll put it at B. Next, we have Taylor Made Freestyle by Drake. Now, how do I feel about this track? It is extremely forgettable, and it is very weird that he used Tupac's AI voice. It was just Drake trying to drop another diss track, get some more hype going. He dropped it on Twitter and then deleted it pretty quickly after getting sued by Tupac's estate. Very weird to use an AI voice of someone that's dead to diss someone else who Tupac will definitely approve of Kendrick, okay? So it's very weird. This is a bit of a disaster, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna put that in D tier as well. Like, that's gonna go in D tier. And this was when Kendrick Lamar hit back. Euphoria. First of all, as a song, it has 3 beat switches, okay? It has 3 different beats, and on each beat, Kendrick goes so hard, changing up his delivery, changing up his cadence, and just throwing shots left, right, and center. He says, don't tell no lie about me, and I won't tell truths about you, which is maybe the most well-aged line in the whole beef that they had. Like, this aged like fine wine. He tells him that he shouldn't be saying the N-word because Kendrick thinks it's corny. It's very funny to me. Also, the whole rant he goes on about, I hate the way that you walk, I hate the way that you talk, I hate the way that you dress. Goes off at Drake's character, about how he's a leech, about how he's trying too hard to be black, about the abs that he got, which apparently he didn't get in a very legit way, making fun of of his Canadian accent, and also going at how he doesn't really look after Adonis, which he goes a lot further on in another song that we're gonna get to. It's one of my favorite tracks sound-wise as well from the whole beef, but what's crazy is this was just a warning shot. Because of that, I'm gonna put it in A tier, almost an S tier, okay, very close. But I'm gonna hold that S tier reserved for a certain track. I think you may be able to guess what track is going in S tier. And then literally like a few hours later, 616 in LA dropped, which is an absolute banger. Oh my god, this is so underrated. This instrumental honestly may be my favorite from the whole beef. It is either this or Meet the Grahams, but this is up there for sure. And what are the disses on here? The cover art is a tease at something. It's teasing Drake that Kendrick has inside info, because apparently that is from a stolen suitcase, either from Drake or Drake's dad, I'm not too sure who it was, and Kendrick somehow got his hands on it. And he says a very important line in this track, which is, "Have you ever thought that OVO was working for me?" Telling Drake that he has inside info and how people in his entourage and in his circle do not like him, and that they're snitching on him, tired of his lifestyle, everything basically, and how Drake should be more aware of who is around him, which is kind of brutal considering how this beef ended up. But yeah, I'm gonna put this in A tier again. I think it's on the level of Euphoria and Like That, honestly. Like, I'm gonna put Euphoria above Like That, and I'll put it above, yeah, I'll put 616 in LA above Like That. It's this high because of how well it aged, and also because of just how good sounding it is. And then we move to one of the greatest nights in hip-hop history, which is Family Matters and Meet the Grahams drops. Wow. Family Matters released first by Drake, and it was a response to Euphoria and 616 in LA. And when this came out, it was dangerous. I mean, look, it's pretty good sounding. I would say better sounding than Push-Ups for sure. And some of the allegations that Drake makes on here are intense, and this is deep now. We're getting into deep stuff. He is saying that Kendrick's wife had cheated on him. He's also saying that one of Kendrick's kids
might be day free,
which is again some pretty serious stuff. He's saying how he also beat his wife over a pretty good instrumental and destroying the Good Kid, Mad City van in the music video. That is heavy. So when this dropped, I honestly would have put it in like A tier or even S tier, you could argue. Had some funny lines in there, but also some very weird lines, like it's only Big D and there's video proof, like bro. So you know what, I'm just gonna put it up there for now, okay? I'll put it right here, I'll put them right next to each other, but that's going to be moved very shortly, trust me, because Kendrick retaliates with Meet the Grahams, and I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that this is the most deadly and also the most vicious sounding diss track that I have heard in all of hip-hop. Like, I would say this is the greatest hip-hop diss track of all time. Why do I say that? Because of the instrumental, first of all, one of the most haunting instrumentals I have ever heard, and how he just breaks down everything about Drake in the first verse. He talks directly to his son Adonis about how his dad is a deadbeat, how he doesn't care for him, oh my god. And he's giving Adonis a life advice because his dad is not there to provide that for him. Do you know how fucking insane that is? Do you know how as a father you would feel if another man was doing that to your son? In the second verse, he's talking to Drake's parents, saying how they raised an absolute piece of shit. He says that Drake is using his dad because he is his black side. It's just insane. And he talks about some very serious allegations towards Drake, which have been made in the past, okay? But he kind of goes a little bit more in depth, talking about how it's all done and how it goes through, and actually throwing some serious stuff into the mix. And when there's already some weird suspicion about you doing such things, being a predator, it holds a little bit more weight, don't you think? And the third verse, he exposes that Drake has an 11-year-old daughter that he is hiding. Yep, another child. He goes to talk to her about how he's sad that Drake cannot be in her life, just ripping him apart at this point. And then the last verse, just ripping into Drake about how he lies about stuff, how he shouldn't trust the people around him, how they're snitching on him, saying that he lied about the only artist that could provide him help, Mr. Morale that is, Kendrick Lamar, and that this is a long life battle with himself. This is not no diss track, and that just... Wow. I'm going to put this in S tier, okay? While some of these claims cannot be proved, considering Drake's history and some of the allegations that had been previously thrown out at him, I would say it's fair to assume that most of these, if not everything in this, is true. And yeah, about 24 hours later, They Not Like Us releases. Oh my god. Song of the Summer as a diss track. When have we ever heard that? A song of the year, song of the decade. Whoever talks to him and think that they love, just make sure you hide your little sister from him. Are we not understanding how ridiculous this is? And let's go back to Family Matters. Well, the whole wife beating thing in the Not Like Us music video.
Dear Adonis, I'm sorry that man is your father, let me behind.
And her own brother even encouraged Kendrick Lamar to go at Drake through a tweet. If you had a sister and you know that the husband beat her, I don't know if you would be supporting him in a war against the person who says that he beat her. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And also the whole thing that Dave Free is the father of Kendrick Lamar's son. Yeah, no, he also got them in a music video, danced around with him. It's just a not good look for Drake, okay? He was pulling shit out of his ass. So I'm gonna have to demote it at least one spot to B tier. And I'm going to put Not Like Us in S tier because come on, it's iconic already. And lastly, the Hard Part 5. And to express my hatred for this song, I'm going to move 7 Minute Drill and Taylor Made Freestyle up to C tier and put the Hard Part 5 in D tier. I don't care if you call me a Kendrick dick rider or anything. I don't care. How are you gonna go at someone for getting abused as a child while he actively says on the song that you're trying to allude to that he didn't get abused as a child? That just no one believed him that he did. That you just mistake the whole message of that song, mistake the whole message of that album that Kendrick is going with as well. Like, are you actually stupid? Are you dumb? And that is one of the most insensitive things that anyone can joke about. He makes jokes about it in this track. That's so insane. Saying this Epstein angle is the shit that I was expecting. Take a listen to what you were saying. I was expecting you to call me a child predator. Are you... what? But yeah, that is going to be my tier list for every Kendrick and Drake diss track. Let me know what you guys think. Was it a bit too harsh? I can see how someone will put Family Matters high up, like an A tier. However, I just don't see how you can give it so much credit after some of the stuff has been discredited and Drake has been caught out even more. But yeah, that is going to be my tier list. And BBL Drizzy is an S tier as well.